I mentioned Eric Crouch and players like that walking out with Frank Solich. One player that probably won't be on the trip now out there is Dominic Raiola, as Chad Simmons of On3 has reported that Dylan Raiola and the Raiola family probably will not be coming as of now to either the Nebraska April 22nd spring game or the Oregon April 29th spring game. And then to kind of add to the drama, Raiola has changed some of his Twitter pictures. He's got a picture of him with a towel that has the Georgia Bulldog logo or the Georgia G on it as one of his Twitter pictures now. And then on top of that, Steve Sipple, Matt Rule, Nebraska's head coach, began following a new quarterback this week, Dante Reno, who is from Cheshire Academy. I got that right, by the way. It's not Cheshire, but Cheshire Academy.
Yeah, Cheshire, yeah.
Where Nebraska hosted 3 players from there last weekend that we talked to in this very office. But Dante Reno now being followed by the staff. He was a Satterfield quarterback, 4-star, committed to Satterfield at South Carolina, still committed to the Gamecocks. But there's a lot there to process, Steve.
Well, Sean, there is. I think some of this is the focus now for Dylan Raiola is upcoming spring practices at his new school. He's moved high schools. So they have spring practices.
And that's notable because not every state allows spring practice.
Right. So he's having spring practices. He wants to be involved with his new teammates, I'm sure. And then he's also going to a Los Angeles-based quarterback trainer. And that was now that's the one thing I have talked to Dominic about. It was a couple months ago actually, but it was really important that they hook up with this group, this trainer. So that's April. So nothing in April. He still has an official visit that's been set for Georgia in June. Okay. Now that's the only official that's been set, right? Georgia. Now I think he's going to try to, according to Chad Simmons, he and his family are still looking into locking in official visits to USC, Nebraska, and Oregon. Nebraska is still very much in play here. The decision's not going to be made. It'll be made before his season starts, but this is a summer decision, it looks like.
What's interesting, though, is, and he's different. I get it. He's the number 1 quarterback in the country. His timeline can be what he wants it to be.
Yeah.
But most quarterbacks are committing right now until like early May. It just doesn't typically go this deep with quarterbacks.
Yeah, but it's going to.
And they want to go deep with it. And, that opening weekend of June, I mean, you want your quarterback around because he's going to help you get other recruits.
Right.
So there's a lot of there. And that's why you wonder about this new quarterback follow by Matt Rule. Are they already kind of trying to think about a plan B just in case things don't go? Will Raiola take that official visit to Nebraska, or will he commit to Georgia after the official visit there?
Well, yeah, that's the kind of the next thing to watch for is will Nebraska get an official? I think Nebraska will get an official. Is it a big deal that Dylan's not going to be at the spring game? I'm saying no. He's been here a lot. He's been to Nebraska a lot.
In a lot of ways, the basketball game that he attended during the quote dead period.
Yeah.
That was like a spring game. I mean,
yeah, he knows how much he's valued here by the fan base. He doesn't need to hear that again. He knows what the spring game's about here. I don't think that's a big deal. Is the towel that he's wearing on his Twitter? Are you sure that's not Gatorade? Maybe it's Georgia.
It's a Gross High Cougar G.
I don't know what it is, but I think Nebraska's still in play. I don't know. And you remember,
but Dom hasn't responded to you, right?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know what.
I mean, no, because you've reached out a couple of times.
One time.
Okay.
Yeah, one time.
You haven't heard back from Dominic.
No. And what does that mean? It probably just means he doesn't want to do a bunch of interviews. It's getting down to a point where anything he says, people are going to try to read into it. So maybe he's just approaching it that way. Or maybe that On3 rating didn't sit very well with him. Maybe
hey, that's not our call.
I know. So it's interesting to me. What I would tell you, Sean, is trying to read the mind of a 17-year-old, 16-year-old, whatever he is. I mean, people ask me all the time, what do you think he's going to do? I mean, I can't read his mind. I don't know. You can't. Who knows? We're all trying to read tea leaves. Some are trying to read them harder than others. I really don't try. What I'm looking for next is in addition to Georgia, what will the official visits be? That's the key for me.
But will he take them all too?
Well, that too, yeah.
Because what if Kirby says, "Hey, we want you, but we got to kind of know right now."
Can you play hardball like that with the #1 quarterback in the country?
If you think you got him, you can.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe that's what Kirby does. Kirby's formidable. He's a formidable recruiter. He really is. If you've seen him interviewed, you understand why. And then, well, if you've seen their program, you understand why. It's a recruiting machine. So, yeah, I mean, if I were a Nebraska fan, that would make me nervous that Kirby's this intent on landing Dylan Raiola. But again, I just got to keep saying it, Sean. I'm going to keep saying Nebraska's in the conversation.
And you've seen, some notable, like Steve Wilfong from 24/7, who does a great job covering national recruiting. He put in a crystal ball to Georgia, but he has switched his like multiple. I mean, like that's kind of what's going on. There's been a lot of national pundits that have switched their picks. And it's going to continue.